So I love to bring anything to our community that will help parents decrease power struggles and challenging behaviors. So let's just start with what is declarative language and why is it important?
Mm-hmm. Declarative language essentially is just commenting. So you're just stating a comment, and really, like on the very basic level, that's all it is. In contrast, the opposite of a declarative statement would be a question or an imperative, which is a demand or a command. And the main difference is that questions and commands put pressure on kids to do something in the moment. So there could be time pressure, or to formulate language in the moment, to come up with something to say in the moment. Whereas declarative language or a declarative comment is an invitation. So there's no pressure following a declarative statement, as long as we use that declarative statement in a positive, inviting, and guiding way, where our intention is always to give information and not get something from kids.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So parents, sometimes when we ask our kids to do something, we could get ignored. We could get a meltdown. We could get a power struggle. So this sort of non-directive language is geared to prevent that. So let me just dive in and ask you, give some great examples in your book of things we would traditionally say as parents, or sort of like, get in line, say hi to grandma, look at me. And what happens for some kids, especially kids with social learning challenges? What is happening to the nervous system on the inside?
Mm-hmm. So I believe that anytime there's a demand, what our kids might experience is just that fight, flight, freeze response on a very basic level. So, even though we might not think it's a big deal, or we might not think we're asking that much, they might perceive it as a demand or a threat, which then leads to those responses of fight, flight, freeze, which translated might come out as challenging behavior. And then you just go down this road that's not helpful to kids in the end, because the adult on the other end might misunderstand that behavior. And then you get into behavior plans and how are we going to extinguish the behavior? Whereas I always think, like, why don't we just get it on the front end where we change what we are doing so that the kids are successful?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just to sort of rapid fire, instead of get in line, what would you say?
So you could say something like, hey, I notice it's time for lunch if they're in the classroom and kids are lining up by the door, or I notice kids are lining up by the door. So any comment in that moment that observes the environment might be helpful for the child. And essentially what they might then do is pick up their head, visually reference the environment, notice there's a line by the door, then make that decision on their own to walk toward the door and get in line.
I think this is a really important point that you made in the book, that if we just say get in line, they're sort of like following a command or a request. But when we say people are lining up at the door, they look up, they take in the information, and then they get to make an inference. Oh, people are lining up, so I should too. Mm-hmm. So it helps with their autonomy and their understanding of the world. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. And they're the problem solvers. They're allowed that opportunity to read the room or the situational awareness, make the decision, and do it on their own, which is empowering. Like, I always think about declarative language empowers kids versus a direction doesn't. Receptive language is important, but there's a difference between following a direction and being empowered to solve a problem. And the latter just really leads kids to feel competent, successful, important member of the community, all sorts of really good things.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. How about say hi to grandma? What do we say?
Yeah.
There's like the don't and the do.
I know. So you might imagine the child's playing and then grandma enters the room. So you could always just say something like, hey, look, grandma is here. And in that moment, really what you're doing is allowing the child to pause what they're doing at a spot that maybe is comfortable to them. They then might pick up their head, reference the door, notice grandma has entered, there's a change in their environment. And then what's really beautiful is they could greet grandma in the way that's comfortable for them. Maybe they'll wave, maybe they'll run over and give grandma a hug, maybe they'll just say, hey, grandma. And all of those ways are just really beautiful because they're unique to the child and not dictated by our idea of what a greeting should look like.